What's going on, you guys? Coaster here. I have not talked about the Oakland A's. I should be talking about the season and talking about the lockout over and blah, blah, blah. But here's the problem. We all have seen the attendance numbers, and really, I'm actually fine with that, and I'm proud of it. It's sad to say. But the Oakland A's situation is really something you should not be throwing your money at. You look at this team, you look at where this team is structured, and you look at where they're going to go. They don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about you. They don't give a damn about me. They're so focused on going to Vegas, thinking that's going to be their cash cow, and they think that's going to get their thing. Yeah, they're not really invested. And at the same time, the guy's not going to sell either, Mr. Fisher. So where do we go from here? Well, this organization remains a joke. Now, one thing I can defend about the A's is that they did the right call to get rid of their players in terms of the core. They needed to break it down because the A's themselves were not going to be good enough compared to the rest of the field. They were what? Glorified 88-win team, or the fifth best team in the American League, maybe. Some will believe in the crapshoot and getting in's all that matters, but we've seen it time and time again with this group. They fold when it's October. They're just a different gap. Once the lights are on, once they're in a playoff situation, this group of players was worse than the previous wave. And of course, the 2000s wave, those guys were actual contenders. Unlike this group, where they would suck right out of the gate, like the time Sean Manaea just gave up home runs against the Rays. Remember that? Yeah, that's what I thought. And of course, I also will defend Bob Melvin leaving the team. I don't really miss that either. He's hit his expiration date with the A's. I mean, you could say that Billy Beane is the naysayer and has final say on everything, but still the manager's job to get everything done. Those are the only two things I'm going to defend about this A's team. But other than that, trash. This team is trash. Not just... We can talk about the players right now, and I'm not going to really discuss them. But this ownership doesn't care. They upped their ticket prices. Their goal is to move to Vegas. We've seen the team president go into Vegas. Rob Manfred, of course, has not endorsed anything Oakland. They're trying to get him out too. We all know that. It's a foregone conclusion this team's going to move. The Oakland politicians are not doing their part. Everything is going wrong to be an A's fan. And when they move to Las Vegas, presumably, who knows when that shovel's in the ground, that's the assumption, I will not be a fan of this team anymore when they're the Vegas A's. I mean, I cannot support this ownership group. I really can't. And what is this saying? Is there any guarantee that when they get that new stadium that they're just going to invest in the team and care? Dave Cable's making all these statements, making as if new stadium is going to mean new investment, new players. No. Look at what the Miami Marlins did when Jeff Loria got his stadium. Remember when he pumped that money into that first year and then he sold off everyone except Stanton? Remember that? Yeah, that's exactly what will happen when the A's just kind of go invest into their new stadium when that happens. They're not going to be guaranteed. This ownership just doesn't care. They are just a bunch of real estate guys hoping to cash in with money and property and all that. And I guess he likes the ownership of having a team for tax benefits. But you know what? There's got to be something about caring about your products. Even some of the worst cheap owners right now have spent on players, and the A's have done none of that. You go back to contracts. You have to go back to Eric Chavez. That was the last time the A's have given a significant contract. I think that's still the biggest contract in franchise history. You know, Eric Chavez retired like 10 plus years ago. Or sorry, I think he played in 2012. But he's like a coach for the Mets right now, if I remember correctly. He hasn't been playing for a while. Yeah, all these other contracts we've seen teams give out who are cheap. I mean, look at Chris Bryant with the Rockies. That's a cheap ownership. Of course, other teams like the Marlins, they gave Jorge Soler. I think he got a 3-year, $36 million contract. That's not very big. In terms of on the field, this team's window ended when Marcus Semien was given this insulting offer. It was like, what, $12 million, and it's all this deferred payments of $1 million over the years when Toronto gave him a 1-year, $18 million contract. I mean, you're going to take that in its instant. What's the point of this dumb deferred contract offer? It's insulting. It really is insulting if you can't keep your players for that amount. Couldn't even just give it a qualifying offer so you get compensation. But no, you don't even get compensation because you didn't give a qualifying offer. Nice going. Off the field. Off the field has been the other joke. I mean, on the field, Billy, you could say, is cap-strapped, but even his philosophy is outdated. Off the field's even a bigger joke. We've heard about the ticket prices have doubled for the most part. The season tickets have gone up. It's not just your inflation. I think most people would have accepted a 10% increase, even a 15% with inflation. No one would have given a damn. But they doubled the ticket prices, and we have been living. Forget Moneyball, forget all these other movies and references with this A's team. We're living in the movie called Major League. You're probably familiar with that. Rest in peace to the actress who played the fictional Phelps. I think it's Rachel Phelps was the fictional character. I mean, the goal was to suck, get out, make the attendance and be suppressed so that they can move and then relocate to where they want. In this case, it's Vegas. I think, what is it? The number was what, 800,000? If there's under 800,000 attendance, then they're out. But yeah, right now I think the pace is very well below 800,000. Just they're going to probably get that by the end of this year. And then they're going to say, hey, guys, we don't have supporters. Let's move. And they're going to get that. I'm sure Vegas is going to give them an offer and so on, and that's it. But yeah, this A's team has been run like a joke because, one, they don't invest in their players. They don't invest into the product. The marketing is poor. They had A's Access for a short time. It was kind of experimental. Then they got rid of it. You could say it's amidst COVID, but that's BS. These guys are still rich. They didn't even pay their minor league players. Yeah, all the things that were the amenities for the A's fans and so on in the last few years, all that goodwill went out the window because Dave Kaval has shown he's a snake oil salesman. Obviously, he's just a mouthpiece for Fisher. Fine, he's following orders. But all that stuff, I'm thankful I never bought into that one bit. When Lou Wolf sold his stake into the team and Fisher became the owner, Kaval has this title, and then he says all this stuff about getting a stadium. He goes to Peralta. We all know that failed. Then he tries to do all this other promise and so on and tries to pander, and I never fell for that once. The only way I've ever been convinced is if this team was good or convinced is if a shovel is in the ground in Oakland. We have not seen a shovel in the ground, and we likely won't get one because these politicians don't give a damn. You look at some of these other teams that get a shovel in the ground quickly. The Texas Rangers, they got theirs right next door to the other ballpark in Arlington. Obviously, other teams and sports teams like the Buffalo Bills, they might be getting their shovel soon. The LA Clippers in California, who cares about state regulations? The LA Clippers will get their own stadium very, very soon because the construction started there. The only teams really right now with this uncertainty is the Arizona Coyotes and the A's right now not knowing where they're going. And even if the A's get their shovel, it's not going to win under this ownership. I mean, Billy Beane, worst case scenario right now is that he's past his prime. You don't want to hear that, but usually when you're a small market team, you got to be creative and reinvent the wheel and come up with ways to get ahead of the game. Well, that was 20 years ago. Though that revolutionary stuff of Moneyball, that was 20 years ago, and obviously the game changes year by year, and the stuff we've seen right now are outdated. This philosophy of thinking they can just walk and get a home run and hit a two-run homer. Good pitchers aren't going to walk your hitters, okay? The legit pitchers on the playoff stage, the A's will take a pitch. They think they can be patient and wear out a pitcher, and then you realize the guys in the playoffs are actually going to throw strikes. They're not going to walk anybody. You're going to have to learn to get hitters who can counter good pitchers at the end of the day. I haven't fallen for this the last decade or so with the way that this team's been trying to score, with the way this team has been trying to say they're good when they're not. They're just good, but not good enough. And this group of players that just left, they were good, but not good enough. That's what they were. So getting rid of them, I do have no regrets on that. Getting rid of Bob Melvin, I have no regrets on that. Of course, there's no compensation because they don't care. And yeah, I really wish Fisher could sell, but here's the worst part about this. In the lockout, I was rooting for a lockout to cancel the season or it has the right terms under the right negotiations. The players signed an owner-friendly deal. It was 26-12, I think the vote was. And the fine print tells me that the guys who voted 26 yes, or the representatives, none of them were in the negotiating room. There were 8 guys who were part of that special committee doing the negotiations, Max Scherzer, Francisco Lindor included. All of them voted no to this deal. They all knew the writing was on the wall. That was a bad sign. And really, it's owner-friendly. You just up a few wages, so what? But some of the stuff in this CBA for the next 5 years shows that owners can be cheap. They can run however the hell they want, and the cheap owners can still operate. So that goes same for the Cincinnati Reds, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Baltimore Orioles, and even the Miami Marlins. And of course, the Colorado Rockies still, they have Chris Bryant, but they still have a terrible bare-bones operation. A lot of these teams have bad owners. But the A's have right now been the kings of being the worst in terms of payroll, in terms of just how they've operated at not signing and not caring. And of course, just trying to alienate their fan base, and that's the goal as we're living in Major League. Alienate the fan base so that the attendance is so bad and that obviously the sheep are gone. They can just move to Vegas, no problem, get their deal. And you should be disgusted. But obviously, if you just give in and buy tickets, you're losing as well because you're giving to that ownership. I mean, you're in a cash-strapped area. You can pick and choose, and I think right now A's fans have made the right call to not buy tickets, not buy anything. I have not really made a purchase in about 2 years. I think I bought a couple things when I was on clearance, but I am not giving my money to this organization, and I think a lot of people have said the same. Yeah, we can afford it. It's not about being broke. It's not about having homeless or being poor. No, it's about this ownership operating under a manner that says they don't care and they're not going to invest in this wave. Even when they have contenders, are they going to be good? Maybe for a year or two, and then they'll just kind of sell off when the player control runs out. And even if so, what are they going to do when they get in the playoffs? Are they just going to suck in October? Because that's all this team's good at doing. They've been sucking in October in my lifetime. The most depressing thing about it, when they can win a playoff series and move to the next round, they're 2-15 in that situation. I've only seen 2 playoff series wins in my lifetime. One of them is because of a pandemic, a Mickey Mouse series because of an expanded playoff. Otherwise, it's been a joke. I should see more than 1 playoff series aside from that Mickey Mouse one. And this organization is a Mickey Mouse run organization. So the playoffs are a failure. The marketing is a failure. All I see on Twitter is Dave Cable again. Oh yeah, boom, emojis. Operates like how the team marketing does. They just try too hard. Even on Twitter, before Matt Chapman was playing for the A's. This organization's marketing has been a joke and cheap in many directions. Promotions have been stale. The creativity is stale. You look at just how they're not with the times. Fisher is just not invested, and the people running this organization have been a joke from top to bottom. I mean, aside from some of these players who are trying, most of these players are just playing for a contract with another team. They're going to try to end up like Matt Olson, where the best case scenario is they're wanted, they're noticed, and then they get a big fat contract like Matt Olson just did with the Atlanta Braves. So, yeah, I'm not really disgusted over the on-field product being sold and so on, but we know where this is going and that the snake oil salesman is just talking, and nothing is getting done. It's been 20 years since we've been trying to find a new stadium. And now that wait is finally going to be over. MLB is going to step in and approve some kind of move whenever that happens. I personally wish that someone else that's not named Las Vegas could get in the bidding war. Yeah, we could say Oakland's a lost cause. The politicians have done their part to fail. Of course, the Giants have also played a role. We know that there was the moving with Fremont. That failed. And then San Jose, we all know Bud Selig blocked San Jose, and the Giants had a factor in that too. It is a combination of a lot of things, but in the end, it is mostly the A's themselves and the Oakland politicians. It is a two-way street. They both failed on fronts. The A's have shown they don't really care to invest. The Oakland politicians care about other things that are not baseball and not sports, especially when you're about to lose 3 teams in a very short span. Yeah, that's about all I could say about this A's team. I mean, in terms of on the field, I think they can hit the over, which is 68.5 is the over-under. I think they're going to hit the over. I like the odds that they're going to compete somewhat, or they're going to try. But in the end of the day, this team obviously blew up their core. The bullpen's not going to last. Some of this magic we've seen through, 2 weeks is not going to last. So the A's, you should stay disgusted, and remain proud that very few people have given in to this product. I don't know how anyone can be a sheep to just pay double the price of your tickets when you know that they're selling, and you know that the stadium is obviously old, outdated, blah, blah, blah. They just don't invest into it. And we've seen time and time again how cheap the marketing is. Even recently, they tried to do something with Embarcadero to send, Stomper to Embarcadero in San Francisco on work break. They didn't even plan anything. That's how much of a joke this organization is, from marketing to the bottom of philosophy on the field. So, yes, let me know what y'all think. The Oakland A's are on their way out. They're going to go to, likely, they're targeting Vegas. I want to see somebody else in the bidding war. I am kind of bored with Vegas. And as I said, I am not going to be following this team once they go to Vegas and relocate. If they relocate to another city, maybe I might care. I might actually still follow them. But in terms of Vegas, yeah, it's over. That's it. I do not give them the Raiders treatment. Like the Raiders, we can say all they want that they took a deal and so on, but they didn't really. They were pretty open about that. They were just waiting for the offer, and Vegas gave them the offer. You take it. So what? You got it. You got your home. I could care. I'm fine with the Raiders being the Raiders because I don't have to say Las Vegas in front of it. They've already played in multiple cities in my lifetime. The A's, I didn't see them in Kansas City. I didn't see them in Philadelphia, but these guys really don't care. They're not going to sell. That's it. The owners can keep their team and keep their power for the next 5 years. So you blew it, players. You guys gave in to an owner-friendly deal. And, when they say that I side with the players, I'm only siding with Max Scherzer, Lindor, and those 8 players who kept voting no and stood firm the whole time in negotiations. They knew the writing was on the wall. They backed up their talk when they said they're fighting for the players and the future of the long term of the game. Max Scherzer's making a lot of money. He could stop caring, but they were fighting for the players and more beyond just wages. But they gave in. And now that the CBA's in for another 5 years, we're screwed if you're a small market team. So that's about all I got to say. Let me know what y'all think. Yeah, it really sucks to be an A's fan.